saying things people already know out loud is tight.
I am a collector.
Australian legends.
Funny segments.
This is
Here I come.
What's up, everyone? It's Adam from FWCI, Uncharted the Pitch Meeting. This should be an interesting one. I'm going to talk more about the movie after the pitch meeting reaction. I didn't upload a review to it, so I kind of just whacked the reviews at the end of these ones here. So definitely stay tuned for that because I have seen it. Spoiler alert, I enjoyed it. Also, spoiler alert for the movie if you haven't seen it. I don't know. Go see it first. I don't know, I've never been a big one to just have needless spoilers. So go check it out. Go watch the pitch meeting as well. Spend all of your free time on YouTube watching my videos, clicking like, clicking, the different videos, and just go through the whole lot. Because I'm taking 2 weeks off, I'm about to go back to work. So feel free to support the channel double time for the next couple of weeks in particular. But let's see what Ryan George has to say about the movie Uncharted.
So, you have a video game movie for me? Yes, sir, I do.
Fuck
and I'm
yeah.
so excited for this one, Uncharted. Oh. You should probably get yourself cleaned up. What? The video game.
Yeah, it's a bit like that. Some people are like, there's an Uncharted movie coming out. And Xbox users are like, what's Uncharted? Nah.
Series Uncharted. We should make a movie about it, I think. Oh, yeah, that made money. Yeah, so now we can too, maybe. That's like my whole thing. How'd you know? I just thought you'd be into that. I frickin' am. Let's do this.
By the way, make money it did.
Amazing. So who'd be a
Just
good fit
saying.
to play Nathan Drake, the main character? Well, right off the bat, you're not asking the right question, my man. I'm not. No, see, the better question is, who's a popular actor right now? Oh, I felt like my question was good, too. No, it wasn't. That was a stupid question. Tom Holland, he's popular. He's Spider-Man. Spider-Man's popular. That's not really a good fit. He plays like a high school-age kid in those movies. Nathan Drake's like in his 30s. So he's a younger Nathan Drake. Doesn't matter. Tom Holland's popular. Okay. And so who would be a good fit to play Sully?
Alright, before we get into Sully, I do think Tom Holland is a good fit for Nathan Drake. It's not that he looks exactly like it, or that they have certain things in similar, what's the fucking word I'm looking for? Common. They have certain things in common, but they have other things that are a little bit different. I'm going to talk more about the aging of the characters in this at the end of the video, but in just general, I think Tom Holland's attitude as an actor, or the personality that he can portray very, very strongly, is definitely a Nathan Drake type of character.
You're not asking the right question. I figured I probably wasn't. The right question to ask is, who's an action movie veteran with a good track record? Right. So, I'm thinking Mark Wahlberg. Okay, I guess it'll be interesting to see what he brings to the role of Sully. Oh, I can tell you right now what Mark Wahlberg's gonna bring to the role. Mark Wahlberg's gonna bring Mark Wahlberg to the role. Like a Mark Wahlberg twist to the character? No, Sully's gonna be Mark Wahlberg now. Are we gonna give him the iconic Sully mustache? No, actually, known characters can't have their iconic costume elements in movies anymore. They need to either pick them up along the way or just have them in a post-credit scene. Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah, it's a law now, I'm pretty sure. Well, okay then. So what happens in the movie? Well, I figure we do that thing where we start with an insane action scene that actually happens later in the movie, just to start with something exciting. Classic move, sure. Yeah, and then we'll have a freeze frame and a Nathan Drake voiceover that's like, yep, that's me. I bet you're wondering how I got here. It might be a little much, but let's definitely keep that spirit. Will do, sir. And then I have us cutting back to like a 10-year-old Nathan Drake. Sure, what's wrong with that? Well, Tom Holland looks like he's 15, so that might make for kind of a weird transition. That'll be fine. Okay, great. So anyway, Nathan's brother Sam...
I kind of agree with that. I don't know if there was enough difference between Tom Holland's age and the Nathan Drake as a young teenager phase that they were trying to... I was a bit like, they had to get another actor to play him. I feel like they could have de-aged him or something, to be completely honest, but it's fine.
Sam leaves Nathan at an orphanage when they're kids and promises to come back, but then never does. Oh, very character defining. So then we jump forward to present day, and Nathan's all grown up, to the extent that Tom Holland looks like a grown-up. Spider-Man. And now he has a job working as Tom Cruise in the movie Cocktail, and he's also a pickpocket. Oh, interesting. Yeah, and so then this guy Sully shows up and claims to know Nathan's brother and wants to bring Nathan on an expedition. What are they what's the expedition? Well, there's this freaking treasure hidden by Ferdinand Magellan and his crew. It's like billions of dollars worth of gold.
Oh boy.
And so to get to that treasure, they need this old golden cross that's actually a key.
Oh, old people love things that look like other things but are actually keys.
They sure did, sir. So Nathan and Sully go to this auction, but there are some
The man's never played an Uncharted game if he doesn't realize that the dagger, cross, Chintamani stone, whatever it is a key to some sort of lost city. That's just Uncharted 101.
bad guys there that also want the cross.
Oh, how come?
Well, there's this one guy, Moncada, and he comes from the family that funded the Magellan
Good
trip, so
character.
he feels like the treasure is his birthright.
Okay.
And he has this ruthless mercenary Braddock working for him, and her whole thing is that she would also like the treasure.
Understandable motivation, sure.
So anyway, Nathan and
Yeah, that's obviously a big influence from the Nadine character. I think that means hopefully we're getting Nadine in the future, but I didn't hate Braddock. She was still a pretty badass kind of character, so I was fine with Braddock.
Sully managed to get the cross, and now they gotta go to Barcelona.
Oh, how come?
Well, Sully has this contact, Chloe Fraser, and she has this other cross, because you need two of them to enter this crypt.
And what's her deal?
Oh, she's a very good pickpocket, sir.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah, she's so good, she steals the cross out of Nathan's closed backpack without even getting close to him.
What? How?
She's so good, sir, he didn't even notice.
But physically, how did she get a cross out of a closed bag from a distance?
By being one of the best in the game, baby.
All right, well, cool, I guess.
It's very cool, sir. She double-crossed him for some double crosses.
Oh, wordplay.
So then they managed to convince her that they all need to work together, but there's still gonna be a lot of backstabbing going on.
Oh, stabbing is tight.
Backstabbing.
Yeah, wherever. I love all of it.
Okay.
So then what happens?
The Da Vinci Code.
Oh.
Yeah, the Da Vinci Code.
We're getting all Dan Brown up in here?
You know it, sir. They gotta follow these ancient clues that are hidden in plain sight in modern society.
Very Robert Langdon-esque.
Yeah, that was I think a valid criticism is some of the places they go to in the journey to find the pirate ships felt very urbanized and civilized. Uncharted's big on, like, we gotta go from this temple in this jungle to that temple in that jungle. With that being said, in Uncharted 4, you do find a temple in the middle of a town that has this big underground thing, so it's not totally unrealistic, but that's also a temple in like a, where were they? Peru, Nepal, I don't know, wherever they were, it was like kind of like, it was just like markets and there was very few cars around and stuff like that. It was kind of in this thing, whereas this one felt like it was right in the middle of like a busy, nightlife kind of place, which was, I can see that being a criticism. It didn't feel grand enough as far as like following the clues.
Ancient clues that are hidden in plain sight in modern society.
Very Robert Langdon-esque.
Yeah, so this one entrance to an ancient crypt is inside an old church, and there's a vent connecting it to a nightclub.
And nobody in 500 years ever went through the vent.
That's what we're going with.
Yeah.
And then there's this other keyhole.
In a Papa John's.
What?
In a Papa John's.
Like a pizza place?
Yeah, Barcelona's in Europe. Europe has pizza. Papa John's has pizza. Papa John's will give me money. This is a perfect fit.
Oh.
No Papa John, no Papa, Aussies don't say the word Papa. Papa, that's the word. Papa John's. Papa John's. Oh, it doesn't sound right in our accent at all. None of those over in Barcelona. Because again, that was another very kind of weird decision to take. But you know what? If they made a bunch of money on it, then good for you, Papa John's.
Okay, so there's an ancient
Expedite.
keyhole in Papa John's.
Amazing.
Yeah, they built a Papa John's around an ancient keyhole. Never looked behind it. Just put a Papa John's right there.
Yeah.
They just put some glass in front of it so it was still easy to find, but never did anyone wonder what was behind there.
That makes total sense to me.
Great. And so then there's going to be this action scene where Nathan and Chloe are almost drowning down in the crypt, and the Papa John keyhole can help them not drown.
Okay.
So Sully's got to access the keyhole, but that Braddock lady shows up at the Papa John. So there's a big Papa John's fight, and he throws her through the Papa John's glass.
A very exciting action scene brought to you by Papa John's.
Anyway.
I'm glad I'm not doing this because I can't even say Papa John's more than once without getting all my syllables mixed up.
Anyway, so later Braddock and Moncada are loading up this cargo plane, and Nathan and Sully got to figure out how to get on there.
Is that going to be hard to do? Actually, it's going to be super easy. Barely an inconvenience.
Jump in the car.
Oh, really? Yeah, see, they hide in the trunk of his favorite car, which he's bringing with him.
How'd they get in there? Aren't there a bunch of guards?
Oh yeah, for sure, but they do this really clever thing where they sneak into the car off screen.
Oh, it's amazing the kind of stuff you can get done off screen.
It really is. So then there's going to be this big twist on the plane when Braddock slits Moncada's throat.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so there's blood everywhere because of what that does to a person.
No, because we want that PG-13 rating.
Oh, okay, so then he'll just have a dark, bloodless line that we won't even try to hide.
Perfect.
So now...
Yeah, that I noticed as well. I was like, wow, he got his throat slit and he's just got like a trickle of blood on there. Like, I feel like they could have hidden that a little bit better. So, yeah, props, kudos, correct, top marks. Let's do more.
Braddock is the main antagonist of the movie.
Very cool twist. So instead of the villain with a personal family connection to the treasure, it's the angry girl who was thrown through a window at Papa John's.
Exactly, and so she tells her crew, hey, now that we have this guy's
She's more of a
wealth,
threat.
we can do whatever we want.
That's not... Just because you murder someone doesn't mean you control all their assets.
Yes, it does.
Oh, okay, neat.
So then there's gonna be this big action set piece where Nathan and a bunch of cargo are falling off the plane.
Oh yeah, that's from the games.
Exactly, an iconic moment from the games, except now people can't control the characters, which makes it more engaging.
That makes sense.
So anyway, eventually they get out of that situation, and Nathan figures out the coordinates for the treasure.
Oh, good for him.
Yeah, and then Chloe steals them, but Nathan left decoy coordinates because he knew she was gonna double cross him.
So she just takes off in the wrong direction and she's not in the final act action stuff of the movie?
That's right, she's gone.
All right.
And so then Nathan heads into this cave that nobody's been in for 500 years, even though it looks like the coolest cave that everyone would love to explore.
And how does he plan on bringing several tons of gold out of there with him?
Well, he's got himself a little speedboat.
That'll do it.
Yeah, so then on land, Nathan and Sully find Magellan's two giant old ships, but then Braddock and her team take them.
What do you mean they take them?
They put these giant nets under the ships and fly them off with helicopters with Nathan and Sully inside.
Nice.
So then there's gonna be like this crazy airborne pirate ship battle. It's gonna be
love it.
nuts.
Wow, wow, wow. Wow.
And at a certain point, Nathan's gonna fire an old cannon at the other ship because it's flying right at them.
What was the strategy there? The bad guys were just gonna crash one ship into the other and hope for the best?
Yes.
Well, okay then.
And so then the good guys win and the bad guys die, and most of the treasure is lost.
Oh, bummer.
Yeah, but it's okay because they get a little bit of it. So what do you think?
I think it sounds fun, and I think we time it just a little after the new Spider-Man movie to hop on that Tom Holland hype train.
You think that'll work?
Never underestimate a hype train.
Declares Uncharted a new franchise after box office success. Yes! Yes! Awesome. Good. I'm glad they had that there because that's a big part of what I want to talk about this show. So I'm curious to know what he knows about the franchise because, yeah, there was a lot going on in that movie and I'm a massive fan of Uncharted, the video games. I just finished playing number 4 on the new PlayStation 5 version and I just started playing Uncharted 3. Yesterday as well. So I love it. Let's talk about the movie Uncharted. Spoilers ahead. Obviously you've seen everything by now anyway. I thought it was a good, fun movie, but I do think it was limited in a lot of ways. And what I mean by that is they didn't introduce certain characters like Yelena yet. We had Chloe. They've kind of messed around with the timeline a little bit in terms of people's ages and stuff like that, but honestly that doesn't really bother me much at all. Like, they're still the same characters. We had a lot of deception, which was a big theme in the Uncharted games. You never knew what Sully was going to do. He never screws you over because he's a good guy. That's why I named my cat after him. But he is constantly raising questions. Chloe is somebody who raises questions throughout the games that she's in as well. You just never know who's going to turn on you. So I like the fact that they established that there was, a lot of mistrust in this movie and in this universe. With the journey, so for those that haven't seen haven't played the Uncharted games, the game is very much a very simple kind of formula. You go to a big massive temple, there are a bunch of little mini games, and eventually you find like the next clue to where else in the world you need to go to find the lost treasure. And I think having all of that happen in like metropolitan Barcelona didn't feel very Uncharted-like, and it did take away from those moments a little bit. I imagine this is all due to budget and filming and stuff like that because you know, how many jungle temples are you going to go out there and, you know, build just for a movie? But I think that's why those scenes seemed a little bit kind of forced, if that makes sense. I think forced really is the best word to use for how they did those scenes. So again, the movie is not without its flaws. It was a little bit Hollywoodized, like you didn't get like gritty, realistic stuff like the throat slash, for example. I know that's a ratings thing, but that was an example of like Hollywood tropes definitely coming into this. And I think that was a smart idea because you want that first time audience that has no idea of Nathan Drake to be able to just digest this movie in one gulp, like, yup, glop. As long as this movie did well and they get approved for a franchise, that's when things get really exciting. And this movie did do well. They have called for a franchise. What I think we're going to see in the future with that is Yelena Fisher coming in. I think we're going to see Tom Holland age up naturally and hit his stride as like peak Nathan Drake when this series has its following, and when people that haven't played the games have seen, you know, maybe movie 1 and movie 2. I don't know how many they could get out of this. I like the number 4 for Uncharted, not just because that's how many games there are, but just because I feel like once you build up 3, you can have the big blow-off movie at the end. So really, really curious to see where they're taking this franchise. I think the Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg casting is going to make a lot more sense in movies 2 and 3, which is why I think they held back a little bit on this movie, because they didn't want to just, you know, blow their load immediately. They wanted to save certain things to be, because they're like, hey, we're pretty certain that this is going to become a long-term franchise. Like, how long can this take though? 10 years? 5 years? 8 years? Like maybe the 8-year mark if we're going to have a movie every couple of years. And man, Tom Holland is going to be a busy boy, but I had no problem with it. I did find the Nolan North cameo kind of lame and confusing though, which sucks because obviously, you know, I'm a fan of the game. Nolan North being the voice of Nathan Drake throughout that whole series, really adding a lot of life and personality to him. I didn't like the line. I think he says, hey, where'd you come from? And Drake says to Nolan North, who's sitting on the beach, oh, I just fell out of a plane and swam here. And Nolan North says something like, oh yeah, that's happened to me once. I don't know. I feel like Drake would be asking questions like, really? Do you want to join us on this? We're going to get some pirate treasure, man. What are you doing? Like, I don't know. It just seemed like a bit of a goofy cameo, which sucks because I would have liked more cameos from the game in there as well. But I think that covers everything I want to talk about from the Uncharted movie. So let me know in the comments what you guys thought. Did you go and see it in the movie theater? That's absolutely where I saw it, and it was a lot of fun. Packed movie cinema, packed cinema as well. Great environment. There was some people that clapped at one point during the movie. I don't know what point it was, but I'm not saying this movie is like clap in the middle of a movie theater good. But if you like the Uncharted game, go into this movie without the expectation that it's just going to be the same as the game, because they're telling a different story. Try get onto it, and obviously support this movie in the theaters. Let's get some more Uncharted movies being made, because this is such an untapped well of stories and moments from the video games that are just ripe for being picked. And honestly, I think the way they did emulate some of the parts of that movie were like in the terms of being similar to the video games. They did a fantastic job. The scene out the back of the airplane obviously comes to mind. But one other thing they did that I really enjoyed was they took Henry Avery's ship scene, which yeah, I agree that was kind of just sitting in like a cave that had never been discovered kind of thing. It did feel a little bit unrealistic, but suspend your disbelief for a moment on that. You then get that amazing scene where they're flying out with the 2 pirate ships on the helicopters. That's never been in an Uncharted game, but that definitely would be. That was, I think, a great example of the filmmakers saying, all right, we're going to do our own, you know, Uncharted action scene in this film here. And they certainly knocked it out of the park. I loved it. But let me know what you guys thought in the comments. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. Again, go check out a whole bunch of other videos because I'm taking a couple of weeks off. And as always, everyone, be well, stay safe, look after your friends. See you in the next video. Peace.